We are competing in, we are repeating in, we are believing in. It's time for us to shift our mind from best in the world to best for the world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. It creates a new world to mind a shift, intentionality, perceptuality, conceptuality. We are choosing to shift our mind to best for the world, best for our world. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional. Make decisions intentional, to take decisions intentional, making decisions intentional.
Hello and welcome to the Best for the World broadcast. I'm here with Sten Lindquist and I'm Michael Sillion, Captain Future, and we're going to talk about the future of leadership. Welcome, Sten.
Or was it leadership future? Or what was the subject today?
Future and leadership in any order you like it.
Great. It's 1 year ago since we were here last time, Michael. So what has happened?
What has happened in a year's time?
From a leadership perspective, as a captain.
As a captain
of the ship.
The ship is still going in the old direction, and it has speeded up in that old direction.
All right. Have you read about the sustainable global sustainable goals and what the status are? Current status?
I'm not familiar with the current status.
Is it going backwards or going forward?
Locally in Sweden, some of them are going backwards. We're not even close to where we should be because we're now over half time.
So we need to do something better or more. We need to do something better or more to meet the sustainability goals of 2030. Then, I suppose.
Yeah, the small incremental change that people are saying we're doing and not even doing are not going to cut it even anymore. So not even the thing they're talking about that they're not doing, but they say they're doing,
all right,
are not going to do it, I think.
So is this a good start of a dialogue about leadership, or can we have another starting point? What do you think?
Yeah, I think then we had to examine what leadership is from a perspective of a planet. How do you lead a planet?
All right. Okay. So where do you think we should start? Because it's a pretty complex problem, this kind of dialogue about talking about the future of leadership. I mean, we are all leaders in our own life, and you are the captain of the spaceship Earth, if I understand it right. One of the captains, or are we all captains? What do you think?
Yeah. For my part as a captain, that is like trying to understand what it is to be what we call a crew member of this ship. Because we're not treating it as our ship. I just came home from Cyprus this week and I saw this humongous cruise ship lying out there circling the bay. And that's how we treat our existence here on Earth. Like entitled passengers, we can just dig up whatever we want, we can burn whatever we want, consume whatever we want, and there's always someone coming for more as long as you press the money button on our phone or something like that.
All right.
And what is it instead to be part of the crew? On a ship there is no passengers at all, there's only crew and we have a mission.
All right. So because I have thought a lot about why are we here, or more actually why is it like it is today in the world? We have talked a lot about meaning crisis during the years. And maybe we could start with defining little what we mean with meaning crisis, or meta crisis, or
polycrisis.
Polycrisis, or there are different ways of explaining the situation that what we experience today. And one of the problems that we experience, or the challenge we experience, is of course the environmental crisis. And I think more or less every media covers that, and every dialogue covers that today about the environmental crisis, and we get information about that every day. And we also saw this, that we are half time now to 2030 and the SDGs, the 17 goals, and we're not really on the right direction. So that's one indicator. But there are so many other things in the world that also is a part of this meta crisis. And so I will actually maybe have that as a starting point, and not having this environmental crisis and that type of dialogue today. I really more like to put it more on a little higher level, and put it on the table here, that what is the crisis, or is it a crisis, and what do we experience, and why is that a leadership problem?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I will explore that. The thing we are now, we are the human species. For a very long time we were insignificant to the planet, but for the last couple of hundred years we're not more. We're now year in and year in it. All wildlife, most of the wildlife in numbers and in mass, land life, has disappeared and replaced by us and our cattle and our sheep and pigs and stuff like that. So we're not insignificant anymore.
More the food, you can say the food we eat.
The food we eat, yeah. Living meat.
If we're not vegetarians or vegans, of course.
Yeah. But even that, even the forests are replaced by fields.
Yeah.
With food for both our animals and us.
Yeah.
So even there,
more for the animals, if I understand it right.
Yeah, because they are way more than us, and it's not the way to treat this planet. So we're not insignificant anymore, and that means whatever we do affect it a lot. And if we're gonna do stuff, we need to have a plan, and we have to have leaders who help us execute the plan, whatever it is. And we have that today. We have leaders and we have a plan, but the plan is not taking care of the planet. The plan is personal luxury or well-being at the cost of the planet. And the leadership is today supporting that. So the leadership are pointing us in the wrong direction, and that is a problem because there's so many of us doing the wrong things.
So what I hear you saying is that we are going in the wrong direction, and that direction is based on consumption.
Yeah,
in some way.
And a narrative system that we call money and currency, fiat currency or whatever. We have a narrative system that directs our daily activities. What affects you, what you're going to do today. If it's a work day, you go to work because the narrative system says you have to go to work to get money. And that's your choice making of the day. Go to work and do whatever work instructions you have at work.
So the work is for your to get money for your consumption.
Yeah,
and
for most people it's rent and food.
Yeah.
But for a larger and larger amount of people, we do a lot more than just rent and food with our money.
But it's still consumption.
It's still consumption, and there's no awareness of where things come from, and if it's an endless or supply, or in most cases today, and not an endless supply.
And consumption is also close correlated to energy.
Yeah,
and energy consumption or energy production, we can say. So all these things are connected.
Connected, yeah.
From a holistic perspective, everything is connected, and that's why maybe it's so difficult to break the circle of consumption, because all business on our planet is based on this circle of consumption, energy, and work.
Yeah,
in some way.
Mostly here in the Western world, and more and more of the world is catching up to this way of life.
And it seems that most of other countries also think that is the future they like to.
Because we have shown the way.
Yeah, we have shown the way to that future. Okay,
and that's a part of leadership. It's not a person who's the leader; it's our way of life that is showing the way. So our way of life is a leadership signal.
Okay, so our way of life, actually, our belief system, the way we want to live, the life we believe in, and the values that life can bring us. That is what we are. That's our direction today.
Yeah,
that points to a direction, and if I understand it right, that direction will not be a fruitful future.
No, because species are disappearing. The oceans are getting less habitable by the ocean species that we need to sustain a living planet. Much of the things we need for the biosphere to live on for millions and hundreds of millions of years, however long I've got, is disappearing. So we literally on the path to a dead planet for higher form of life. Maybe insects and bacteria and fungus will be around for a billion years, but we won't.
So if we continue in that direction, what we call a leadership direction, or we are leading ourselves in that direction, or the system that we believe in, leading us in that direction, that actually is not sustainable. It's probably really what you call it, a dead end.
A dead end, yeah. For us.
For us, yeah. For us.
And
us.
Higher form of life, like big animals.
Yeah. So that's our conclusion.
Yeah.
That the common and present belief system and we can say it, the belief system that we have today, whatever we think about it, it leads us to a dead end.
Yeah.
Okay. So we can agree about that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And working with sustainability, from my point of view or my perspective, is that we can slow this. What do I call it? We can slow the speed down.
What we call progress today, perhaps.
Yeah, we call progress, or we can slow that down a little by working a lot with sustainability things, like the global sustainability goals and all other initiatives that is good for the planet, but it's actually just slowing it down, the progress down to the dead end.
Yeah.
That's also interesting, because we never talk about sustainability in that perspective. That you can also say that, from a more positive way, you can say that it gives us more time to make better choices. Yeah. And that's actually one of our theme for the Best for the World broadcast.
Yeah, choosing wisely.
Yeah, choosing wisely. So choosing wisely is actually something we need to think about a lot, and we need to stop and reflect and try new and other path than the one we are on now. So that means that we really need to slow down the progress now as much as possible, so we get time for that. Yeah. So that's actually the goal, or or the purpose with all sustainability work today. It's slowing things down, so we get time to get things right.
Yeah, to figure out the new choices we
Yeah,
have to make, because
exactly.
that choosing wisely is leadership. It's going to be hard choices.
Yes.
We're going to choose between the future suffering for us all, or maybe short-time suffering for some of us, and that's a hard choice. And the type of leadership we have in dictatorship and the type of leadership we have in free democracies, none of those leaderships today are making these kinds of hard choices.
Yeah.
They're making popular choices if they want to stay in election, or they're making personal choices if they want to keep their dictator powership. So, but none of these types of leadership leads us to the right type of place.
Many people think that technology will save us. Digitalization, AI, and new intelligence, and that technology will help us survive and also solve all these problems that we have already created. What do you think about that?
Yeah, technology innovation is fantastic. Much of what we do here with all the internet and things we have wouldn't have been possible if we didn't go down this route of high energy consumption of fossils and fossil fuel. So at the same time, we're doing it with so many of us compared to the planet, so we do it at too large a scale. There are too many cars, there's too many computers, there's too many houses, too many roads, too many of all the things. If we done it in a large scale, if there was less of us, this wouldn't have been a problem that it is today. But because now we're closing into a wall where fossil fuels will run out in 100 or 200 years completely, and we already past peak oil and things like that. So that's the problem in itself, that we're doing too fast and too much. But tech, we want to have a future where we have tech and science, because a future without that is maybe so bleak that we don't want to live on at all. But tech can save us if there were less of us and we had much more time. But now we don't have to change a lot more than just rely on tech, because we're too many and we're doing things too fast.
Some people still think that in 10 or 20 years from now, there will be AI taking all the decisions for us and make it much better than the leaders today can do it, and take in all different perspectives and everything, and put us on a new, better direction. But of course, we don't know.
I think of an AI that can keep all the data in mind, the kind of data that some of us have part of, and some of us are totally ignoring or calling lies and conspiracies. But if AI that has all the data can say, okay, this is what the map looks like, you can do this much with this kind of resources for this long.
So there is some hope using technology and very intelligent technology, like maybe we have in 10 or 20 years from now, that can actually help us slow down the progress and put us on a better direction. We don't know anything about the future, of course, today. We only know that we are in a dead end now. The direction now leads us to a dead end. And we are talking a lot about sustainability and how that can help us, so the sustainability work can help us slowing this progress down. But some people talk about a regenerative world and a regenerative way of thinking. What do you think about that? Is that the solution?
Yeah, like the Earth and the biosphere has been regenerative for a billion years. We don't know like exactly when and how life was living on a large scale that we actually consumed it. But when trees and plants conquered land, they were the cause of the first and the second mass extinction, because they freed up so much, I think it was phosphor or something like that then made the ocean algae bloom and consume all the oxygen and kill off most of life twice. So that was plants conquered Earth before land animals. So in that essence, even our biosphere has been trying to kill itself accidentally. There was no plan behind it. Like they were not conscious of what they were doing, like we are. So in that essence, but life survived and adapted, and we have now after that we have had a biosphere where max extinction has come from volcanoes and asteroids, which is still a large threat for going to be forever. But the essence of a stable biosphere where there is soil, there's ecosystem in the seas that's been going on forever in a human time scale. We can see that could be sustainable for hundreds of millions of years to come as well if we weren't around. But the way we do it now, we introduce a lot of things into the biosphere, new type of chemicals that we produce, or chemicals we dig up that weren't supposed to be in circulation in the biosphere and things like that. A lot of toxic things that are toxic to most of life that we introduced. None of that is regenerative. So we're not even close to a regenerative society the way we think about it today.
Maybe we should help the listeners little to define or describe the differences between sustainability and or sustainable systems or regenerative systems. Sustainable systems is they are as the word is, it's sustain.
They keep going.
They keep going as it is
without disappearing too much. And when if you think of a regenerative system, let's say that there was a volcano eruption that caused a max extinction, and there was very little life for 10 or 20 million years. That's a long time for us. Like we can't even fathom how long that is. But slowly life became back, so there became more and more biomass, and that's regenerative. Like it grows.
But maybe if we can explain it in a more easier way, that a regenerative system is that you need to give back more
than you take.
Give back more to the system than you take out from it.
Yeah.
And that's very difficult because the system is very complex.
Yeah.
So you don't really know where you take it out from the system and where you put it back.
If you put back too much back of something else goes away, and
so we need to have a more advanced system that can monitor and control, for example, energy production.
Yeah,
that could be one huge starting point, of course, and the other one can be agriculture.
Yeah,
I mean, energy and agriculture. That's the two key areas that I think regenerative thinking or system thinking needs to be applied upon. But people are not talking so much about how you can go from a sustainable system thinking to a more regenerative system thinking. The path between them is not so easy to describe.
It's super hard.
It's difficult to explain. You can understand it if you like grow an apple tree and you eat apples and you give back to the soil. And you have like a small ecosystem that you can see it in front of you. Then it's easy. Maybe you can see how you give back to the ecosystem and it continues forever. But in a large scale, this is very difficult to understand and even more difficult to describe. And pointing things in a direction to a regenerative system or regenerative system thinking is really difficult, from my understanding. But I still want us to look into this. What could it be? What kind of direction could it be that we like to point at to make this present moment more regenerative? And what we can do as humans or citizens to make the better choices, more conscious choices in that direction. And for me, that is the leadership of the future, is to somehow understand how we can facilitate that change that's needed to go from a sustainable system, because we are not there yet. We are trying to slow down the progress to become sustainable. And after sustainable, we need to take next step.
And regenerate what we took away.
To regenerate what we are taking away from the system. To see what's happened then. Because we don't know, really.
No.
Actually.
We have to learn.
Yeah. So this is actually 2 or 3 steps. So if we... And since we had this topic in this conversation today is a little about the future of leadership, I think it could be interesting to look into what kind of direction are we talking about? Because maybe it's when we talk about leadership here, we talk more actually talking about ourselves as leaders, leading our way to the future, leading our own life in a more regenerative way. But first, we need to be sustainable.
Yeah.
So how can we make sense of this?
Yeah, I'm gonna think like the most amazing thing that gives me hope is that we're a learning species in a learning world. Animals are learning, but we are extreme learners, and for the past couple of 100 years since the scientific revolution, we have learned so much in such a short time that it's mind-boggling just to think about that for a second, and worth celebrating that we are capable of learning so much about ourselves, our planet, and the universe in such a short time. And that gives us hope. If we can learn that, we can now learn how to go forward into the future as well. We have learned about ourselves and the past a lot, and how the universe works in general. And now we have to learn how we go forward with what we know now.
But don't we already know what we need to do?
Science knows it, but we don't.
But don't you know what you could do or should do?
Not in... But I know what I have to do to become more sustainable, but I don't really know what I have to do to be like 100% sustainable and regenerative. Like when we say 100%, it's we are let's say India says Denmark are leading, they're 4% sustainable today. So 100% is a long way to go, and
so we are 96% from the goal.
Yeah.
Are you saying, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Denmark is leading.
Yeah, Denmark is leading, so they are 96% from the goal to become sustainable.
Yeah.
Is that a sustainable society we're talking about, or what is that? What is that?
We don't even know, because halfway there we're gonna discover other things that we didn't thought of, that we think of today, that we don't think of today.
Okay.
But going there is like that's step one in a long step of change.
So we really don't know how to be or how to become sustainable. Is that what we are saying here today? We don't really know. Even if we get a lot of information that we are doing the wrong things. The wrong things can be so many things.
Yeah.
Driving car, consume the wrong things, eating meat, whatever. It feels that everything is wrong.
Yeah.
What we do, but no one really tells us with some proof that this is what you should do. This is the life you should have. This is the way you should live your life. Because it's more about guiding principles than telling exactly how to do it, if I understand it right.
Yeah.
We need more guiding principles than that someone tells us, now you can't drive a car anymore, or you can't take the flight on vacation.
Because there's no like alternative that is habitual, that we completely lost. We don't even know what it means.
Yeah. So
let's explore for the other part of this. We have talked a lot about leadership, but let's explore what the concept, the future is, because my recent like meditation on this, I've done some dialogue conversation around future and tomorrow. That is another concept that I think is different. So tomorrow is the day after today. We can plan for it with a calendar. We we know what's gonna happen, and we can even foresee our choices we're gonna make tomorrow. But the future is something else. It's not tomorrow. The future is the direction. Like my choices today creates the tomorrow we're gonna get tomorrow, and that is the future, the direction. My choices and my actions, and when you put that to 8 billion choices and actions together, we have a direction that is a narrative that we can call the future. The future is not something we're going to get to. The future is a narrative we use to plan our actions today.
Yeah. So it's a narrative that we are creating the future together, and it's a narrative, and that narrative is also lacking a story today.
There's no narrative of my actions. What part of that future does my small choices co-create with 8 billion people?
That's really true. And so this sums it up in a good way, I would say, because before we go into the actual leadership or competences or leadership styles or whatever we're talking about, we are more or less saying that there is a lack of a narrative, a story about the future that we want to see,
and how I contribute to that future,
and how I can contribute to that future, or how I can contribute to that story.
Yeah, and how I and even today, like how I can contribute less to a future we don't want to see.
So you don't go in the wrong direction.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like we're doing today. Even my choice that I'm not sustainable in any way.
Probably.
Even as Captain Future.
Probably both of us making choices that goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And we will not understand it until afterwards.
No.
So we understand the life backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are we going into the future backwards?
Yeah, in two essence, many people live in the present or the past. They don't even use the concept that we call the future. They don't even think about it at all. More than tomorrow, what's going to happen tomorrow in my calendar.
Yeah.
And in essence, I lost my thought there, but we're backing into the future because we're not looking forward.
That's meaning that we because maybe that's the only way of doing it. Have you heard about this? We can talk about forecasting.
Yeah,
and that's a very common model of understanding the future. But backcasting is more interesting, I think.
Yeah,
that's another topic we can talk about.
Yeah, forecasting and backcasting are two thought models that give rise to a narrative of my actions today.
Yeah, but because you need to, if you have a present situation, but you also have a future, how you want your life to become, and to make that happen, you need to go in the right direction, and the narrative will help you at least finding this direction, because I don't think we're really there yet that I can tell you this is the right direction you should go. I will say that I still need to create the narrative or the story to be able to take out directions and giving me then guiding principles, because I think there's a 3-step just in this exercise of understanding how we can help each other creating the future. And so being a leader, or talking about leadership, is actually more about facilitating these 3 steps.
Yeah.
Is that how you understand it also?
Yeah, like leadership comes from within. We lead ourselves, and then we have people who lead others, and there's like some myth of this that we all should be self-leaders and everything, but many people can't make all the choices for themselves. Many people would like to be told what to do from a leader or from a narrative and a societal habitual pattern that we do like people around us.
Yeah.
So we don't.
We
I don't have to choose every action. I can just do what you do.
We're mimicking.
We mimic. We're fantastic at mimicking.
And that's actually a part of being human.
Yeah.
Is mimicking. So when we see people going in one direction or telling a story that we think we can believe in, belief systems that we actually believe in, that seems to be regenerative, at least sustainable, and then regenerative. If we can together at least creating some kind of story to become a narrative, then we can find path that or directions in that, I will say, pretty complex and messy work that's need to be done, because we are, as we said before, 96% are we in the old system.
Yeah.
4% is on their way to sustainability. But how many percent are already guiding themselves and their community in a regenerative direction, do you think? Do we know anyone?
Not really. Even like sustainable communities of small-scale farmers and stuff, they use fossils.
Yeah.
As for now.
Yeah.
And
what can they do?
Maybe they can replace it on a small scale, but the way they think the world, if the world is going to be a small scale of regenerative farmers living everywhere, collaborating through an internet built by old tech that nobody actually does anymore on a large industrial scale, so it's cost efficient and energy efficient. I don't know what that's going to look like at all.
Isn't that a steampunk society? Or,
yeah,
or
it could be.
Or what it is, or you're going back to the 1800th century farming, or well, I mean, that's probably not what we think is the future.
No, not at all. Even that. So,
what do you think about if we say that it's so few people today, at least as we know, and there are very few communities that really go in that direction. What do you think is needed as a first step to lead yourself in a new direction, or at least be curious about another direction? I mean, for me, I heard what you say before, that we are curious. Learning curious animals or humans, and for me, the learning and the curiosity creates an increased awareness or increased consciousness. But is that the starting point of all this work? An increased consciousness, do you think? And is that the topic we need to continue in the part 2 of this dialogue? Yeah,
it is. So that's funny you should ask. No, but the thing I've been doing for the last 2 years, I've expanded upon a framework that me and Carl McFall and Bartola created together, and made a framework to understand what is a system, what is a society, in a simple enough thing that you can keep it in mind, so you don't have to be a super math scientist and stuff like that to understand. So what is a simple map you can use when you watch a TV series, when you go to work, when you commute and see things? Okay, this is this, but according to this map, it's also this. So like I came up with this term yesterday. It's kind of what we call triple or double navigation. You navigate today's society using what you always do with money and the things you've always done things, but you also apply a frame and a mindset to say, okay, I pay money for this, but in reality, this action uses up this kind of resources and this amount of energy, and I get that we don't have it today, but hopefully we can see, okay, 1 kilo of potatoes has been using this much energy, and the whole system has consumed or used or poisoned this much on the way there.
It seems that needs a lot of new technology and AI and a lot of stuff to be happen. And
yeah, but that's just the start of. But the map itself can be used without AI and technology. So that is I did a long talk about it a year ago, and I've been giving it since, and I've improved the model. So the core essence, if I'm going to explain it without slides, is now that the universe consists of material, It's this atom, molecules and stuff like that is formed into stars and planet, and eventually it formed the planet that we live on. So that our planet today consists of material, and we get energy. We have energy coming in for the sun, humongous amount of energy that we can't capture in a real essence. That's what plants has been doing for millions of years, catching the sun energy. And we also found this cache of fossil energy that's been stored underground for 600 million years that we're using up in a rate that is unfathomable. Just a few hundred years, it will all be gone forever, and we will never get it back. But so the world runs on material and energy, and for a long time that was the case. It's the case all over the universe, and then life emerged on planet Earth, maybe elsewhere, that uses another set of directive how to move things around. So everywhere in the world there's events when something changes. From the smallest chemical reaction between two atoms to the large scale events of a solar system forming, and in the middle ground, the daily activities of life is filled with millions of events, and you can concrete them. A workday is one event filled with millions of events, but you think of a workday as an event. So that events take place, and for any event to take place, there's like a change, and that requires energy to transform the state of matter. But if you think on a human scale, your daily life is filled with events. You eat, you walk, you travel and stuff like that, and every event consumes energy in one form and transform it mostly into heat that we can't use, that goes away in most cases. We can't, if we use all the fossil fuel today, most of it creates heat, and the heat goes away. We can't keep it in the biosphere. And we don't want to either, because heat is not what we want more of right now in the biosphere. We got too much heat, and that's going to be the problem for the future. But in essence, there's a lot of events taking place, and this has created systems of events. Like a city, if you look at the city during a day, during a year, there's a lot of events going on, and they're repeating. They're systems. You can see patterns with your brain that no living thing could see before. They couldn't observe the patterns, but now we can see patterns.
And the patterns is processes.
Yeah, processes. And that's what we call life or society.
Yeah, because I mean, there are processes and there are events.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental things. And the processes, they can be millions of years long process cycles of processes, like in the universe, like that. But there are smaller circles, the day and night, the week, the month, the year, everything that gives us this what do you call it, the processes on Earth.
Yeah,
that's we are humans. We live and we die, and everything's come back in some way. So what are you saying with your model? What is your conclusion with that model? Because
when you observe, when you do an action, if I decide we're gonna go eat later, I decide to eat. That's an event, an action, and in that process, and I can see using just my own sense making and my brain to think about, okay, where does this bun come from? Where does this potato come from?
I understand.
Should I eat this potato? Is this full of toxins? Is that a choice?
But so what
things like that. But it's very complex. But But you can always, if you look at it very simple, you can see that, this is maybe not so good, and maybe this is a better choice. And you can course correct slowly, and you can get to know yourself and the world a little bit better day by day.
So in one way, it's defining these processes that is going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And in these processes, we know there are certain events that we can look at and see if they are sustainable or regenerative or just the opposite.
Yeah.
So that is a way of understanding the life, you mean, or the society, or is what you're saying here is it about more being better to understand these processes and events and how they can be more fine-tuned to become more sustainable?
Yeah.
Or what do you think? Or should we change all the processes or events? Or what is your what is your reflection about?
Yeah, there's a lot of reflection on that, and India talks about it good in it says that we have to have different types of currencies to measure the resources we need to make an event happen. We can't measure things in money. We have to measure it in energy and heat and
values
and material. So if we tax energy and material instead of taxing work and stuff like that, we will instantly, if you taxed all the energy you used during the day, you will instantly switch to using less. Okay, this is expensive. It costs me money to use energy. I will use less.
Now I'm with you. Because this means that we need system change. Yeah, of course, because that's what we are talking about here. Or the understanding that comes out of our dialogue here is also always the same. We need a system change. And no one, everybody talks about system change, and everyone say that we need system change. But no one wants to change.
But like talked about, step number one is understanding what the system is, and we seldom know that. That's what I'm trying to do with my framework.
Okay, so you get a better picture of the system, the processes, and the events.
And you start thinking about it. So and that can lead to unforeseen effects. We don't know yet what happens if more people think about it.
But that's a really interesting thing about in as a part of this dialogue about the future of leadership, because one part of the leadership or the self-leadership is that you need to dig into this. You need to put time and energy to understand how the system works with its processes, with its events. So at least you can reflect on what you are doing. So that's some kind of self-reflection, self-awareness.
I'll take an easy example though. Of course, if we go like, we don't talk like, let's say, if I say an hurtful word to you, I call you a shitbag, you will get sad. If I say...
Thank you, I would say.
Thank you. And if I say, I love you, Sten, if I say a kind word to you, you will get...
It feels better.
And I understand that effect directly. It's I can make up. I can understand two different events and what effect they have.
And it's really interesting, because you use just two words here, and you can directly feel what kind of word you liked most. Directly. And something happens in the room actually with energy, using the good words.
I love you, Sten. That's the second. I choose the second one.
I love that best.
You love that best.
But going back a little to the leadership thing here. So one thing is that you have a responsibility as an individual, to start. What can you say? You need to learn. You need to put energy and efforts in understanding and learning about system thinking. I will say.
And it comes back to this choice. If I am kind to people, that's an event. Anyone without training, education, and even like low IQ, they can understand being kind is better than being bad to someone. If we train them into, because there's a lot of people who thinks being bad is better because they do a lot of bad choices in a day, or unkind choices.
I would like to bring a thing here into this dialogue about see if I remember it, the right word to it. It was about it was what we did some huge community training or education a long time ago. Folkskolan eller what do you call it? Bildung. And that is an organization about Bildung today, and that's really interesting what they say about what's needed in this time of change or time of transformation that we actually are in right now, because you can't rely on the old knowledge anymore. Or
we need like a new type of consciousness around who we are and how our choices and actions affect things around us.
And how we are a part of a bigger system. A system thinking, or a bigger universe, or whatever you want to say. So we need a new Bildung actions, or what we call it. And because they tried that once, educating people in the Nordic countries.
And it was just not education, it was It was they said they started training meaning making, sense making, wisdom.
All right. So it
wisdom
was,
technologies.
So it actually was about understanding how to create a new narrative, a new society, and that society became the industrial society and the society we have today.
Yeah.
I will say. And then you can say, okay, was it a good society we created, or was that the society that was the best we could get from that consciousness level, maybe. But if we should do the same thing again, educate a lot of people all over the world, of course, but you need to start somewhere. We say we can start here in Skåne or Lomma or in Sweden or wherever. So starting to educate people in this new things, I would say, for most people: system thinking, consciousness, awareness, all this.
Like the crew member mentality.
Yeah.
How do I take care of myself? How do I take care of the biosphere or the planet, or what scale you can think of? And how do I take care of people around me?
So the starting point is always, it starts with yourself.
Yeah.
You need to eat healthy.
Yeah. Now, if you want a long life, you can eat unhealthy if you want to.
But
eat better,
because it starts there. It starts the understanding where the food.
How my choices affect my life.
Yeah. So exactly. So you can start there,
and then also practicing making these better choices.
Yeah, I mean, it's a starting point here. It's actually very easy for us to take leadership of ourselves. One thing is just that you make better choice of what you're eating.
Yeah,
and of course it will be easier if you have some directions or guiding principles in this. But I think you can ask yourself, or you ask your body, what is good for me.
Yeah,
and that's one step. Having a good sleeping habit, it's one step in this direction. Exercising in a good way. Having friends and a community.
Yeah, social
belonging, and these are very simple and easy to understand, these things, I would say.
And there are many communities all over the world that does this or has been doing it for a long time. We just forgot about them here in the West.
It seems that we have forgot that we need other people, we need a community, we need a belonging, and we need to understand our role or our archetype in this community. And
how do I contribute? What is my type of personality, my type of body, and things like that?
How can I contribute to this society in the best way? And what do I need to fulfill that?
How do you enable that?
Enable it, and so. Talking about leadership here in a very, very simple way, going in that direction, and that's actually regenerative.
Yeah.
By what you call it, it's regenerative in a way that it's easy to understand and easy to explain. I mean, you become what you eat.
Yeah.
Eat healthy, make conscious choices, think about everything you eat.
Yeah, and
it's regenerative in that way.
Yeah, exactly, and you become what narratives you consume as well.
Exactly.
All the TV series, all the books, all the internet media, whatever type of media or narratives or stories you consume, they affect you, even if people claim otherwise.
Yeah, I have heard many people say, look at TV, look at news, because they are showing a world that is not true.
Yeah, stop looking at the wrong kind of news, like 99% of it is.
For example,
the right type of news as well that we need.
Of course, but I mean, but that's always
like what we think of news today is the wrong type.
But it's always difficult to make that choice.
Yeah,
and make that conscious choice, because when we were young, and if you don't look at TV shows, for example, you couldn't belong.
No, you didn't belong.
Yeah. So that's also interesting. Today, you can't look at anything specific and say that will help me belong. Today, it's more about taking care of yourself, so you make conscious choices. So and that's the first step I will say take for what we can call it self-leadership for the future, is making conscious choices. And it's actually very, very easy and small steps.
Yeah.
It's take good care of yourself and your closest community.
Yeah.
That's the best, what we can say, the best tips we can give people.
Yeah. Exactly. And then we come back to what the training is then. Then they have to train people in caretaking skills, like diet, narratives.
Should we take that in a part 2 of this dialogue and take a little break? What do you think? Because it's a lot of things that we have going through now, and I think we have make a fundament, or what we call it, a base for a dialogue, more specifically what you can do to create or be a part of creating this new narrative.
Yeah.
So?
Yeah, we'll talk about that. So we'll take a short break in this live session. So there will be 2 videos on YouTube if you were watching this after we done this.
And we take a coffee break.
We take a coffee break. I will end the live stream, and a new video will show up, and there will be 2 videos afterwards on YouTube for our conversation. So this is the end of part 1. Bye, everyone.